That six-figure salary, hitting the $100,000 mark, for so many of us, that's the dream, right? It feels like you've finally made it. But what does that number actually get you? So let's really get into it, because the answer is probably not what you think. Depending on where you happen to live, that exact same salary can be the difference between, well, living the dream and just barely getting by. Look, earning 100 grand a year is a huge accomplishment. Seriously. But that big number on your offer letter, that's not what shows up in your bank account. And it's definitely not some magic key that unlocks the same lifestyle everywhere. So this is our starting point, the big, beautiful, round number, $100,000. This is your gross income. Basically, it's what you make before anyone, and I mean anyone, takes a cut. And here we go, the first reality check. Before you can even start thinking about your rent or your grocery bill, Uncle Sam and your state government get their piece of the pie. So let's break down what that actually looks like. Okay, so the very first cut is something every single worker in the US pays, no matter where you are. You've got your federal income tax and then payroll taxes for Social Security and Medicare. Right off the top, that's about 22% of your salary gone. Your 100 grand is already down to about 78 grand. But oh, we are not done yet. And this, right here, is where things start to get really different. It's where your zip code starts to have a massive impact on your wallet. See, there are 9 states with no income tax at all, while others will happily take another big slice. Just look at this. It's pretty wild. If you're in a no-tax state like Texas, you get to keep that full $78,736 after federal taxes. But head over to a high-tax state like Oregon, and your take-home pay suddenly drops to just over $70,000. That's a gap of almost $8,200 a year for doing the same job. So knowing what you take home after taxes is, super important, but it's only half of the puzzle. The real question is, what can you actually buy with that money? And that brings us to the whole idea of real value. To figure this out, we use a cool little tool called the Cost of Living Index. It's actually pretty simple. The national average for costs, housing, food, all that stuff, is set at a baseline of 100. If a state has a score of 120, it's 20% more expensive to live there. If it's 80, it's 20% cheaper. This is the key that unlocks what your salary is truly worth. Okay, so what happens when we take your after-tax cash and then adjust it for how much it costs to actually live somewhere? What does that $100,000 salary really feel like? All right, let's find out. We've crunched the numbers, combining the tax hit with the cost of living to rank all the states. Here are the places where your 100 grand makes you feel rich, and the places where, well, it doesn't. The winners? Yeah, they're pretty much all in the South and the Midwest. Take Tennessee at number 1. Because it has no state income tax and a low cost of living, your $100,000 salary there has the same buying power as earning over $87,000 in an average cost state. That's a massive advantage. But then you look at the other end of the list. Oh boy. In Hawaii, after you factor in taxes and the sky-high cost of living, that same $100,000 salary has the purchasing power of less than $40,000. It's just staggering. High housing costs can completely shrink what's possible for you financially. And when you see it side by side like this, the gap is just incredible. The difference between earning your money in Tennessee versus Hawaii isn't just a few $1,000s. It's more than double. The person in Tennessee has over twice the real spending power as someone with the exact same gross salary in Hawaii. And here's what that actually means for your life. This isn't just about numbers on a page, it's about your lifestyle. We're talking about the difference between renting a tiny apartment versus owning a home, or the difference between having money to invest for your future versus just living paycheck to paycheck. So, okay, with all of this in mind, how do you actually make sure you're getting the most bang for your buck? Let's talk about a few practical things you can do. All right, let's break it down. First up, if you have the ability to work remotely, moving could literally change your financial life. Second, no matter where you are, optimize your deductions. Max out those retirement and health savings accounts to lower your taxable income. Third, don't forget about hidden costs like local sales taxes and property taxes. They can sneak up on you. And finally, if you're lucky enough to live in an affordable state, take that extra cash and invest it. Build some real long-term wealth. At the end of the day, hitting that 6-figure mark is an amazing start. It really is. But what this all shows is that where you earn and spend that money is just as critical as earning it in the first place. The real power of that salary is actually up to you. And that kind of leaves us with one final big question to think about. We always think about our job as our biggest financial decision, right? But your location, that's a huge financial choice too. So are you in the place that gives your salary the power it truly deserves? It's something worth asking yourself.